can share a little information. We have a children's social media star coming to film a video. There's David. So I keep telling you, we have a children's social media star, which my children love, so that's how we know about him, coming in tomorrow, and we are paying his travel, and in exchange he's doing a multimodal video, a video on the streetcar, and a video on how to ride the bus. His name is, no laughing, Blippi, B-L-I-P-P-I. And as funny as the name is, he has 500 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
Probably a third of those are my kids. I'm just kidding. But he's very vehicle specific. So my 3-year-old was singing the excavator song yesterday, but he does, tractors, excavators, boats, very, all sorts of things that little boys like. And ideally, we can use the bus video as something with kids, like here you go, here's how you ride the bus. Any links to the video will be embedded on YouTube, so he gets a click-through rate. But 500 million views to come here, and his video that will go worldwide on how to use transit or multimodal. So we have water taxi, we have the downtown or the in-town are all lined up for this. Right. Will be in sunny Hillsborough County, Florida. Nice. So despite what the Times says, at least we're popular with the under 5 crowd, right?
How old is he? How old is he?
The star? No, well, so the star is like an actual adult.
Okay.
But my kids are 3 and 4, so he's their target market, and it's just goofy little songs and things that kids love, and 500 million views can't be wrong,
Maybe Blippi and I can write a co-editorial.
Good. It has to be with a lot of exclamation points, and we are working on maybe doing a meet and greet over Curtis Hickson Park, so getting one of our trolleys over at the park, working with the Children's Museum, they would pull the permit. So we'll keep you posted about all that. So if you see someone in a blue shirt with orange suspenders out being very expressive on transit, that's what's going on.
Okay, great. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to call to order the February 20th Finance and Audit Committee meeting. If you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Next, we have the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second? Second. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nay? Okay, none. The ayes carry. Next on the agenda is public comment on any agenda items specifically with 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? No? Okay. Would anyone from the audience or the public like to speak before we go on to our next item? Okay, with that, the next is a presentation by Mr. Al Burns. I think I saw him in the audience earlier. Turn it over to you, Al. And this is for audit services contracts, and it's a procurement overview.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Board.
Good morning.
Al Burns, Director of Procurement and Contracts Administration for HART. This morning I'd like to go through the audit services contracts from a procurement overview perspective. Our current contract for external audit services is with Clifton Larson Allen and is expiring on May 28th of this year. The board adopted a new procurement process for external audits, audit process in May of 2012. Responsibilities of the HART board are to form a selection committee. From its membership can be finance and audit committee members or ad hoc committee appointed by the HART board chair. Established evaluation factors are technical, pricing, and other. Next up is to develop and release or RFP, evaluate and rank proposals. The full board of directors shall select one of the firms recommended by the board selection committee. The full board of directors can negotiate and approve a contract with the selected firm. The last time we did this, sir, was about four years ago. Like this presentation said, Clifton Larson Allen was the firm that we awarded the contract with. The committee members at that time on the last procurement were Mr. Bowers, Mr. Roche, and yourself. we have everything ready to go for this. I wouldn't say it's a routine because it's special. It has to be done by the committee and approved by the board. But as far as the solicitation, evaluation criteria, we have everything prepared as we did last time. And today, what I'm requesting is that we take this to the full board so we can appoint an evaluation committee for this. The only thing that's unique in this solicitation versus other solicitations is that actual board members are members of the evaluation committee versus staff, as you may remember.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for the overview, Al.
So moved.
Second.
You have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, aye. Any nay? Okay.
Could I
Carry?
could I just make a comment?
Director
Since we did this evaluation in the past, we used to have an audit committee, and the three of us were on that audit committee. Since we've realigned the committees and combined the finance with audit, I would think that it might make sense to make it from members of the finance and audit committee, or maybe just an ad hoc from some of us here. But just wanted to put that comment out there.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, we could definitely bring that up again at the HART board.
Yeah, at the
HART
full board.
Committee. Yeah, full board meeting. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Look,
All right. Next is committee action items. First on the agenda is item 2A, approval of revisions to HART procurement manual. And I believe Al is slated to give us an overview of that as well. Sorry to make you get back up, Mr. Burns.
sorry about that. Al Burns, Director of Procurement and Contracts Administration for HART. This action item here, we had a streetcar audit, triennial audit a year or so ago. And one of the findings in the audit, or let's say a finding, hang on, let me go to it. I apologize, Mr. Chair. We had an audit in 2016, and procurement had an area of concern that the current procurement manual does not reference a specific procedure that describes the safety-related aspects of the HART procurement process. And so what we did, I worked with staff counsel on this, and we included it in chapter 1 of the procurement policy. And I added, ensure that all construction parts and services procurements include required safety clauses. And then to make sure that it's just not there, that staff actually does it, I also included it in chapter 4, where it says the contracting officer is responsible for ensuring that all contractors that will be on site are reviewed by the safety department to ensure they meet agency's health and safety requirements prior to construction commencement. So basically what we're doing now is we're bringing the safety department, they're part of the procurement process from the very beginning. They review the scope of work along with the risk department that gives us the insurance language to be used. And then when a construction project kicks off, the safety team is there at the kickoff meeting until it's handed off to the project management staff. So it's just a safeguard. And it was one of those things that FDOT wanted to make sure was in our procurement policy to cover.
Okay.
Before you move,
Smith,
just a small correction. Site should be SITE rather than SIGHT, just so we get it correct when you pass it.
Thank you, Dave.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's in the corrected version.
That's on page 2.4.
Yeah.
2.4, okay. Sounds good. Are there any other questions or comments? Director Kim?
I'll move.
So move, second. Okay. You have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay? Okay. The ayes carry. All right, next on the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Can I ask Al just a question
Direct-
somewhat related to this, but wasn't really related to the
Director
motion based
Jacob?
on the safety thing?
By all means. Sure.
On a site, as we're putting in these safety clauses, most contracts, contractor contracts require that the contractor is responsible for all the safety issues on the site, meeting OSHA requirements, all of that. what oversight do we have, does the safety officer have here in terms of monitoring that on the site? Do we have a policy for that, or is there a procedure typically that we do during the construction process that I guess oversees that, or at least observes and reports back?
I'll let somebody from the project management office answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, we involve safety from the very beginning. They're at the, from the pre-bid, from the scoping process through the pre-bid process through all of our weekly ongoing construction meetings. So they're heavily involved throughout the project.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Okay, anything else? Great. All right, next on the agenda is item 2B. And we have Mr. Seward, I believe, or no, not Mr. Seward. I don't see him in the audience.
Substitute.
Oh, there he is over there. Substitute.
No, I'm just playing. Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. Thomas Jones, Environmental Program Manager.
Welcome back, Mr. Jones.
Thank you. So today I'm bringing forth the committee action item for authorizing the CEO to enter into negotiations to award a compressed natural gas station O&M contract, operations and maintenance contract for the CNG station at 21st Avenue in a contract with Trillium Transportation, DBA, Trillium CNG. It's a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options for a total contract period not to exceed 5 years. The recommendation is that the committee review the action item and authorize the CEO to enter into negotiations and ultimately recommend approval of this item to the full board of directors at the March 6, 2017 regular board meeting. The financial impact of the contract, funding for the contract comes from HART operating budget and is also supported by general revenues. When you compare the line item cost of the current O&M contract with this proposed contract, there is a 66% reduction in unit cost. That results in approximately $2.1 million worth of savings over the life of the contract, which is the base as well as the one-year options. A little bit of background about the RFP process and kind of how we got here. To date, we have approximately 29% of our fleet that has been converted from diesel and unleaded fuel to compressed natural gas. In the fall of 2016, at the direction of the Director of Procurement, we began to evaluate the true cost of CNG. So not just the cost of natural gas itself, but also the O&M costs, the electricity consumption related to the station itself, and we really wanted to, evaluate the total cost, the true cost of CNG. In order to do that, we went into we initiated a study, and we had a subject matter expert help us with that, who's also a locally owned DBE, and we looked at operational efficiencies of the plant. And what we found is that the plant had efficiency levels that were 12 to 14% higher, inefficiency levels 12 to 14% higher than industry standard. And when we looked at when we evaluated how much that was, about $145,000 per year annually. Some of that cost is related to the actual compression of natural gas. There is a loss that occurs when you compress natural gas, and we were a little bit above the industry standard in that regard. And then some of that $145,000 is related to the O&M fees and the way that they're calculated under the current contract. That leads me into some of the key specifications of the RFP that we put out for the new contract, which is instead of calculating O&M fees from where the natural gas comes into the filling station, we required that this contract O&M fees be calculated at the dispenser, which is a huge difference. Essentially, we've tied the revenue potential of the service provider to equipment performance. And so it behooves them to have that dispensed amount as close to the delta, what comes into the station, as possible in terms of their revenue. And so we used a model where we used procurement strategy to directly align environmental performance with one of HART's most basic requirements, which is to fuel vehicles. Additionally, as part of the RFP, we included performance language where we required them to submit a technical plan to reduce energy consumption at the CNG station by 25%. A lot of the energy consumption that we were seeing, which was above and beyond what we should be seeing, was related to the inefficiencies. So we wanted to, put ourselves in a situation where we tie the service provider's performance or potential revenue to the equipment performance, but also have a plan holistically to reduce some of the peripheral operations of the CNG station. During the RFP process, there were 20 firms that viewed the solicitation, and ultimately it came down to several firms, including the current contract holder. And we are recommending that we proceed with Trillium CNG.
Okay. Thank you for the background. Appreciate it. And the savings. Any comments or questions?
Sounds really thorough and excellent that the model was changed. So moved to approve.
Great. Second. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Okay. The ayes carry.
Mr. Burns would like to make a statement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Burns.
Oh, Mr. Burns.
Before Mr. Campello, we have Mr. Burns.
Pardon us, Lucian. Mr. Kemp.
Yet another false start. We're so sorry.
Mr. Chair, Al Burns, Director of Procurement. I asked Ms. Egan if it was okay if I publicly acknowledge Mr. Andrew Frazier, who was the subject matter expert, and he was a small disadvantaged business enterprise that we brought on board. Andrew worked tirelessly with staff throughout the whole project. And everybody who knows me knows I ask 1,000 questions, and he didn't get tired of me asking all the questions. But it was important to Jeff and his staff that we get as much savings from this project and from this next upcoming contract as possible. So I just wanted to thank
Andrew Frazier, Managing Partner, Integral Energy. I thank you for your time this morning. First, Ms. Egan, I'd like to thank you and your staff for allowing us to participate in this process. And I really want to tip my hat off to Al, his team, and also Thomas Jones, and really understanding how economic, energy, and the environment all come together to try to make successful projects. So we look forward to this partnership. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Periodically, you'll get reports both from Mr. Jones and Mr. Burns on the cost savings and the economic and environmental impact of the study. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
And I would like to point out that both Mr. Burns and Mr. Jones work for our dynamic CFO, who somehow minds the books while doing all this other really cool stuff. So, Jeff, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Seward. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions on this?
Director Jacob, you have questions?
Yeah,
please.
Being from my background, sustainability is so important. So I think this is really terrific. Can you comment, as we move forward with the CNG, the efficiencies that we get, we're specifically talking about efficiencies we're getting in terms of the equipment operation, and as we make these changes in, what about from an operational standpoint? What does this do for our buses in particular, training of drivers, training of maintenance people? How does that all work together with the policy? Because, we obviously are seeing this trend nationwide in terms of going to cleaner energy, and in this transition, what kind of training are we doing? How does that make us more efficient in what we're doing and providing the services?
Well, as it relates to O&M or operation of the CNG filling station, there was training that was conducted by the original company who designed and built the station in terms of our fuel lane attendants and the individuals who use the station in a filling capacity. Separate from that, as far as driver training, I don't want to step outside of bounds, but I know that our operations training group has a comprehensive driver's training course in which compressed natural gas there is content in that training material regarding compressed natural gas and some of the safety features of the buses, as well as the ability to perceive or recognize any issues or safety hazards associated with operating the buses. For us, a lot of our facilities maintenance staff are kind of the process owners of this asset. And, one of the things that's important, I guess you guys probably know this better than I do, but the fueling station, whether it's diesel fuel or compressed natural gas, is one of our most prized and heavily used assets. I mean, we fuel vehicles every day to get them out on the road. So it's obviously very inherent that we understand how these systems operate and that we have an in-house capacity in terms of the ability to understand what we can do to improve their performance. That's going to be advantageous to us in terms of rollout and operations.
Great, thank you. And then additionally, based on some of the, shall we say, media reports we've seen recently, these are the kinds of things that seem to me are stuff we should be talking about. This is a story we need to tell. When we start talking about the cost savings, the sustainable policy we're putting in place, efficiencies in operations based on what we have to work with. I just think we really need to look at it from a PR standpoint, because this is a great story. You and your staff are doing amazing work with this and making these transitions for us. And, it's a story we need to tell about what we're doing for the county and the residents. So congratulations. I think it's terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one other comment. Second that, Mr. Jacob. Definitely, having been here for the groundbreaking of the CNG facility and being there, and staff, correct me if I misstep here, any factual errors, but we were the first transit property in the state to have a CNG refueling station.
First to go to CNG, yes, sir.
Yeah, first to go to CNG. And so, to your point, Mr. Jacob, the leadership and we're breaking new ground, and it's great to see that even in that first, we're now seeing savings and we're seeing these efficiencies. And I think it'll happen naturally, but I would like to think that, well, I'll just share this. I think it was about a year ago. Somebody from another property approached me at a statewide meeting, not related to HART, but at another area, and they basically shared that they looked up to HART and they kind of looked to us as the leader and example for CNG, and they were modeling what they were going to do after what we had done. So what's exciting about this is, there are things here that I'm sure that folks can take from and improve. And we can, basically there can be other efficiencies and improvements and leadership provided, throughout the state. So it is a very good thing.
It's terrific.
Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Johnson. Oh, yeah. Ms. Egan?
And relative to the point of telling the story, as Director Jacob has pointed out many times, we have a fantastic story to tell. In the recession, our marketing budget was a casualty that instead of telling the story, we were putting people on buses. And again, for those who were here, we made it through the recession without laying off a single bus operator or mechanic. We kept service on the street. That's why we have 15-year-old buses. That's why we shrink our admin staff at the same time. But it is time to start getting that story out using dynamic media. The world has changed. It's not big, expensive print. So I want to say, Mr. Burns will correct me where I'm wrong on the procurement side. We are in the active evaluation of a firm for a communications plan. And part and parcel, once this firm is on board, we'll be reaching out to the board members to get your sense of what stories are our strongest candidates to take forward. What we suffer from is we have probably 80 things we want to talk about, and how to distill this down to the 3 or 4 messages, which are the most effective to tell folks really what we're doing with their money in a way that doesn't make a taxpayer feel like we're wasting their money to share this information, just educating what that investment is doing. It's a good point for us to, it's a good time for us to tie this all together. Also, we kick off our editorial board meetings this week, and we will be talking about sustainability among a whole bunch of other great things that we're doing. Thank you.
I think it's also a great story to tell, and it's pretty amazing. I just would like to say, though, I didn't think that anything in the Times article, as long as it's come up, is a reflection on this agency managing its dollars poorly. In fact, I think it was the opposite, and really it was a matter of saying that the dollars were not there. So I just wanted to really emphasize that, because I thought it was really important to note that it's one of the least funded agencies that they found around the nation.
Yeah, that's a fair, if I may agree with you, that's a fair comment. Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, figure out where we are in our agenda here. We are not, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Agenda item C, and we have Lucian, Mr.
Good morning.
Campillo. Good morning.
Lucian Campillo, Senior Manager of Project Management Office. I get the exciting one to bring to you. It's the authorize the CEO to award that contract for 21st Avenue admin building roof replacement to Garland Incorporated for $264,791. Plus a 10% contingency fee for a total not to exceed amount of $291,270.10 for a 200-day period. Okay, it doesn't sound real exciting, but as the boss pointed out, we made some decisions not to repair some of our facilities during the recession too. Now is the time we got to do it. I mean, it's just reality. Buildings start to fall apart. I think what's exciting about this project is that as you look at it, it's like, well, it's just a roof replacement. The exciting portion is the method we're using to procure it. And that's not here in the action item that we're asking you to bring to the board, but I want to just highlight it real quick. We're using a Garland, which is part of the U.S. Community's National Cooperative Purchasing Program. So, Mr. Burns, I got to give him kudos on this one. Basically, it's a co-op where you find other agencies, public agencies, that are local and state. They have a successful run with a company, and we could add on to that contract, saving us a lot of money, a lot of time, and then it's using a proven company. So that's, once again, pretty innovative. It's saving us money, and it also reduces the risk. We have a good job on this project.
Okay, great.
Anything else? Any of your questions?
About the 10 cents. No, I'm just kidding. I do have a question, just being somewhat familiar with the competitive that competitive process. So, it sounds great that from an efficiency standpoint, we're going to kind of piggyback or, onto another contract. We've cleared any concerns regarding CCNA or, any kind of, there's, that's all been vetted. Yeah, just want to make sure we're clear there.
Excellent question, Mr. Chair. Federal dollars are being used to support this project, and we follow the best, the FTA 4220 1F circular, and also FTA procurement best practices. In a nutshell, we make sure all the piggyback, all federally required clauses are incorporated into that contract that we're using, and also staff has a piggyback checklist. So we dot every I and cross every T because we knew this was a new procurement method that we were doing, and it was going to be going before the board, and Mr. Stewart or Ms. Egan would have to sign off on the contract as well. So everything has been vetted.
Okay, great. Any comments or questions on it? Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Okay, the ayes carry. Thank you, Mr. Campillo. Well, with that is our last agenda item. Unless there's anything else, we will adjourn. Thank you all. We are adjourned. Have a great day, great week.
Almost not.